Hello, I like money.
What
Yes,
inspired you to build
we
a
know.
second Krusty
Hey
Krab
guys,
ride?
welcome to my channel, Autism is My Power. And today we have our greedy guest, Mr. Krabs. And today I'm going to be talking about what mental health disorders Mr. Krabs will have. So let's get right into it. But first, who is Mr. Krabs? Well, Mr. Krabs is the owner of the Krusty Krab. And basically, he has his two employers, which is SpongeBob and Squidward. Squidward is a cashier, while SpongeBob is a fry cook. And basically, Mr. Krabs' goal in life is just basically to make as much money as possible and to basically support his daughter, Pearl, who is a whale for some reason, but maybe they're adopted or whatever. But anyway, basically, so that's Mr. Krabs in a nutshell. I guess technically I can go over the fact that Mr. Krabs also had a pretty rough childhood as he was originally poor and friends with Plankton. So that's also a factor as well as why he wants to make a lot of money. But what mental disorders could Mr. Krabs have? Well, guys, I came down with two. Obsessive compulsive disorder, and here's a new one on this channel, hoarding disorder. First, let's go with the obvious obsessive compulsive disorder. Yes, we can go over the fact that Mr. Krabs is obsessed with money, but that's not the main thing I want to talk about with this. Mr. Krabs is also obsessed with structure, as well as forcing Squidward and SpongeBob to work obsessive hours at the Krusty Krab to make him, well, more money. He's also obsessive with basically not shopping for clothes or even bare necessities because, well, that obviously costs money. So it's kind of implied throughout the season that Mr. Krabs basically goes to trash cans or basically goes to basically find any place that's free, use coupons, and anything in general just not to spend money. That is very obsessive to the utmost degree. But here's a new one, hoarding disorder. Well, hoarding disorder, guys, let's keep this in mind. Most people think that hoarding disorder is basically hoarding just random junk. But hoarding disorder is more specifically when you can't get rid of the things that is really useless. And don't get me wrong, money is not useless. But obviously, Mr. Krabs is one of the richest people in Bikini Bottom. So he really doesn't need all of this money. He can't, for God's sakes, guys, he can't even stand to lose a penny in one of those episodes. So yeah, Mr. Krabs definitely, in my opinion, has hoarding disorder. And guys, remember the part where he basically in season 4 where his mattress was at the dump? He went pretty much insane and pretty much fainted and started having health problems. Yeah, that's also another way he can have hoarding disorder. And there's also an episode where he uses Krabby Patties as dish soap, which affected Pearl's skin really badly. So I definitely think that Mr. Krabs has hoarding disorder as well. But now, guys, I'm about to get into maybe some other possible disorders that Mr. Krabs have. This is just for fun for me. There are two more disorders that Mr. Krabs can possibly have. Mr. Krabs could have narcissistic personality disorder. We've seen that Mr. Krabs is very to himself and doesn't really care for anybody other than money and maybe Pearl to some extent. This wasn't like this all the time, but this was pretty much like this in pretty much 90% of SpongeBob. I would say the only time where Mr. Krabs did not have narcissistic personality disorder, or at least some aspects of it, was in season 1, where he obviously cared for SpongeBob as a surrogate father figure. Another disorder that Mr. Krabs can also have, which this was before in the mid-season of SpongeBob, seasons 4 through 9, but I would say he also has antisocial personality disorder. Obviously, episodes like One Course Meal, as well as just other episodes in general, when Mr. Krabs is actually the antagonist of the episode, makes me lean towards this ideal, at least in these seasons. But the only reasons why I'm not giving Mr. Krabs overall narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder is because these disorders will come few and far in between, and this mostly happen in the mid seasons of SpongeBob. I will be honest, during the pre-movie SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs hardly have any of these disorders. You can say that Mr. Krabs is definitely a narcissist, but not a person with narcissistic personality disorder, because that's literally something that's literally more dangerous just being a narcissist. And definitely Mr. Krabs did not have antisocial personality disorder in the previous pre-movie seasons, unless you want to count the boat episode on when they was on the boat. But Mr. Krabs obviously using them to get his $1 millionth. So yeah, I don't think that counts. But why is Mr. Krabs like this? Well, we know in the episode Friend or Foe in season 5 that basically Mr. Krabs and Plankton used to be friends. And obviously Mr. Krabs was poor back then. So perhaps maybe Mr. Krabs just hates being poor. So he sees money as a sort of medicine or coping mechanism per se. And it doesn't remind him that he used to be poor. So that could be a factor of why Mr. Krabs can be obsessive compulsive and even having hoarder disorder. But the thing of how he mistreats his friends like SpongeBob and Squidward, this wasn't the case in season 1, and I really missed his characterization of Mr. Krabs, and it sucks that it left so soon, because Mr. Krabs is actually a more three-dimensional character in season 1. We've seen Mr. Krabs actually pay SpongeBob. I mean, that is the only time we have seen Mr. Krabs pay SpongeBob. I want you guys to keep that in mind. But throughout the later seasons of seasons 2 through even now, Mr. Krabs has just characterized as greed. Don't get me wrong, we had some really funny memes based off of it and very funny moments, which is why I don't really hate Mr. Krabs as a character. In fact, he's just your stereotypical businessman. And most businessmen and CEOs are really like this, like very so much so. But yeah, that's pretty much it on this point. I'm going to leave you guys with a bonus. I just realized that Mr. Krabs can also have intermittent explosive disorder, which is another disorder I used on the Noose is Back video. And to give you guys a recap, it's basically when you have uncontrollable outbursts and rage for pretty much very little reasons. This is mostly for, yes, I can argue that Mr. Krabs have had this throughout the season, but it is rare, to be fair. But definitely in the much later seasons, even now, Mr. Krabs is shown to be blowing up way more easier than ever. And almost for no reasons as well, other than, well, money, obviously. Or if it's a threat to the Krusty Krab. So that's also another disorder that Mr. Krabs could have as well. That's just a little bonus. But overall, what do I think of Mr. Krabs? Well, I don't really have a problem with Mr. Krabs in most of the seasons. I mean, Mr. Krabs, I struggle to think if he's a good character, an appropriate character, or even a funny character, because Mr. Krabs had so many eras where I loved him, hate him, and just found him okay. I would say, obviously, season 1 era was my favorite version of Mr. Krabs. Season 2 and 3 were also really good as well, even though they steered into one direction of basically only loving money. But in the same time, we did get some very funny memes and moments out of it. Season 4 was actually pretty good for Mr. Krabs, as he was in Hotel Krusty. That episode was about the Krusty Krab coming to a hotel. But seasons 5 through 10 were god-awful moments of Mr. Krabs, when I would argue that Mr. Krabs was worse than freaking Plankton. Mr. Krabs made me feel bad for Plankton. Good God. But Plankton really is the unsung hero. Maybe I'll make a video on him eventually. But also, and right now, Mr. Krabs is just that funny meme guy that just makes funny faces. Don't get me wrong, everybody in the later seasons, past season 9, of SpongeBob SquarePants are like this now, but Mr. Krabs is just that guy that basically just blows up all of a sudden, all because money or somebody's a threat to the Krusty Krab. So guys, that's pretty much it. I have a whole bunch of backlog videos right now because I'm about to start college and summer classes at the moment. So videos are going to be a little bit slower, but thank you guys. As of now, I have 25 subscribers, so thank you guys for that. And thank you guys for giving me over 200 views on my Peter episode. That's, like I said, really means a lot to me. Thank you guys so much. And that's pretty much it. I'll see you. It's late. It's like about 12 o'clock in the morning. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.